There it is.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and potential Toastmasters. Welcome to the show today. This is Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am the co-host, your District 115 Club Growth Director, Ken Richardson. With me today is my co-host, the lovely Phyllis Trivy, distinguished Toastmaster and past District Governor. Good morning, Phyllis.
Good morning, Ken, and good morning to our public out there. How's everybody doing today? It's a great day, I'm sure.
Well, it looks like we're doing really well here. We are actually functioning the way we should be. I'm just checking our Facebook page, so we are online and ready to take any questions that people might have. Today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming District 115 convention. It's our first live and in-person convention. We've been planning for quite some time. We thought the first one would be back in 2019, but then of course, or 2020, I think it was. But then of course the COVID hit, the pandemic, and we've been online all this time. So this will be the first one. You sort of lose that wow, we have a convention and it's a great thing. We have a lot of fun. And you and I were talking earlier, we remember well all the great times with conventions when we were part of District 33. So I thought this would be a great time to talk about the upcoming convention and some of the things that maybe some of our newer members are not aware goes on at a convention. So to get us started, I'm going to talk to you, Phyllis, and ask you about what we have, because I know you're in charge of the first timers meeting. Those people who this is their first time ever attending a Toastmasters conference, or at least the District 115 conference. So tell us what you have planned for first timers, Phyllis.
Well, first timers is kind of my personal story, along with information about Toastmasters International and the district and our structure and the strength of Toastmasters International. So along the line, I will talk some about each of those items, depending upon how much I talked, and if I get any questions. We'll do the club information about the officers and on down to the structure of how the district is put together. And first timers indicates some people think it's first time in Toastmasters. Some realize that it's first time at a convention. So I'm glad you mentioned that it is anybody that is attending our district conference for the first time and has not attended another district conference, although anybody that wants to can attend our first timers meeting.
I think that's going to be great. It is, I remember many years ago, but I still in my mind remember, we used to drive to California, various locations in California. We sort of had these zones. District 33 geographically was huge.
Yes.
So we had sort of like a Northern California that went up, I think, to Fresno, if I recall. Then we had more of a central area, a southern area, and then Vegas. And the way it worked is we rotated among those geographical areas. So sometimes, about every fourth year or so, as I recall, it was in Vegas. And that made it easier to get to for many of us. But the other three rotations were all in California, so that involved taking a road trip, and it typically started on Friday evening. We had the Hall of Fame event on Friday evenings, and we're doing it a little bit differently this year, obviously, which we'll talk about in a minute as we kind of go through we don't have the official final version of the agenda, but we know the components, we know what's going to happen. But in any case, we no longer have to drive to California. So for me, I think that's a real plus. It's nice to be able to sleep in your own bed, so to speak. Although, if you want to stay at the hotel, you can, sort of as a staycation. So anyway, while the first timers meeting is going on, there will be an executive committee meeting. The district executive committee will meet simultaneously But after that, there is a tradition that many of our newcomers to Toastmasters are probably not aware of, called the Banner Parade. You want to share with us, Phyllis, what the Banner Parade is?
Well, each club should have a banner on which they put ribbons. And as we go through from Division A, Area A1, automatically all the way through to Division D and D, Area D4, they parade in front of us, and it's up to your club to cheer the loudest for your banner. But one of your club members will walk across it, and beforehand, you'll be given, if you're carrying the banner, you'll be given a little card so you can write down your club's name and number and who it is that's presenting the banners. So that's announced, and as it's announced, then that person gets to walk across the front and show off their banner with all their ribbons. And you'll note that some of these clubs that have been around 50 years are carrying two banners, one banner and another rack full of ribbons that they have won over the years. So you need to come out and see what's going on. So don't forget your banner. If it's not somebody already designated, check with your president to be sure that it is going to be there, or your sergeant at arms that's carrying around your supplies, and make it a point to be there with your banner.
Yeah, it's really a great photo op as you're sort of parading around the room. That's why they call it the Banner Parade. And as you go around, what happens is the sergeant at arms there at the event will take your banner and they hang it on the wall. We have those non-stick hooks. Mm-hmm. So in the meeting room itself, the primary meeting room, you're going to see banners from all the clubs. So that's really something that is so traditional, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to take some pictures, especially when your club banner comes up. And that's something that you can post on your club Facebook page or on your club website that will just, something to attract attention, to get people to think about, Toastmasters. So the Banner Parade will follow that, and then we will have the official opening ceremony. We're really, really fortunate this year. We are going to have the ROTC Color Guard from Palo Verde High School. They're going to be presenting the colors and performing the national anthem, that group. So we're very, very lucky to have them. So please, be sure and come early if you've signed up and registered, so you don't miss that event. It's quite impressive and moving to see our young people participating in that way. I don't know if you have any comments about that, but that's, I think, what's going to be next. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the presentations. The order may change a little bit, but we want to talk about our CNL recipient. Of course, those of you who are new to Toastmasters may not know that each year we select a non-Toastmaster. Nominations are submitted to the district director, and this is for someone in the community that can't be a Toastmaster who has exhibited exceptional communication and leadership skills for the betterment of the community. So every year we honor someone with that award, and they come to the convention and give a talk. Now, I do have, I think, a screen. This is not a PowerPoint, so don't freak out, those of you who are tired of PowerPoints. I get that. And let's see, where did it go? Bear with me a minute. I'm going to have to go through here and find it. So,
You couldn't have lost it already. You just had it.
I know, but sometimes what happens, and I don't completely understand what goes on with Zoom, but it tends to shuffle things around. When just before you and I signed on, I made sure this was top of my screen, and it moved. I don't know how. There it is. Okay, let's try this again. I'm gonna pull up this. This is basically the constant contact flyer that we got. And we'll talk about a lot of our speakers, but here at the bottom of this flyer, I don't know if folks can see it okay. I don't know if I can enlarge that. It doesn't look like this one is something I can enlarge. But anyway, our Communication and Leadership Award recipient is Adriana O'Neill. Now, I do not know Miss O'Neill, but I know I did get a chance to take a look at her nomination form. She's been very, very involved in the community. And as you can see there, she is a co-owner of Red Rock Counseling Services. She has a couple of master's degrees there and has worked very, very hard in providing services to our community. So she's going to be honored at the CNL luncheon. And you'll have an opportunity to hear her speak about her journey outside of Toastmasters. Who knows? Maybe we'll even get her to become a Toastmaster, hopefully. Our keynote address this year, for those of you who know Brandon Ward, Brandon is with Lunchtime Talkers. He's I don't know how long he's been a Toastmaster, but he is an author. He's a certified business coach. He's a certified life coach and a motivational speaker. He's a really, really great guy. I've met him a couple of times, I've sat in on their meetings, but he's contributed to creating an entrepreneurial environment within our community. He's worked with many, many business owners and leaders and the students at Clark County School District. So he's going to give us a presentation about business and serve as our keynote speaker. Do you know Brandon at all?
Absolutely. Yes, he was at one time in our Toastmaster group and has performed in contests as one of our members. So yes, I do know Brandon. And I would say 5-6 years has always been in Toastmasters. So he's done a lot and come a long way.
So he's really made an impression.
Yes,
and he's
absolutely
risen over the years. He's an excellent speaker, and he's going to give our keynote address this year. So I think people will really, really enjoy that. We're also going to have a couple of educational programs. And people have asked me, well, does that mean we have to choose one or the other? And as I understand it, that's not the case. They're going to be sequential, not at the same time. And we have two great speakers to talk about communication and leadership. First of all, Steve Hollingsworth. He's a cartoon career specialist, and he's going to talk about character development and allowing your inner stories to speak for themselves. Stephen has been a long time Toastmaster. I'm sure you know him as well, don't you, Phyllis?
Yep. When I was area director, he was in one of my clubs. So I've met him and worked with him and heard him speak many times, and he will be a joy for everybody that listens to his speech. He has a very comfortable way of putting things together that are memorable. So I would say, yeah, it'll be great to hear him speak again.
Well, I just want to mention that we do have one of our friends who's been with us before. Of course, Jennifer's online. Paul O'Mahony from Ireland, from Cork, Ireland in District 71. So welcome, Paul. Hey, Paul, we're so glad to have you with us. I had an opportunity to attend one of their club meetings. They meet at 8 p.m. local time, which is actually noon our time on Tuesdays. But it's really, really a great experience to sort of, that's the one thing I do love about Zoom. I miss being in person, especially for contests. I'm glad we're back in person. But we can visit clubs around the world, and people from around the world can likewise visit us. So, Paul, we're glad that you're with us today. Welcome. And he says he's glad to hear about this topic. So that's great. So in addition to Steve Hollingsworth, who's going to be one of our educational leaders, we're going to have another speaker, Jamie French. He is a distinguished Toastmaster. I think he's with the Henderson Toastmasters Club. And he's also been involved with training and leadership development, I believe, for the city of Henderson. So I'm looking forward to that. I really don't know Jamie, but he has a good reputation, and I'm certain that he's going to give us some great information. And it says on the flyer, you'll learn techniques to make changes easier that you can use at work, at home, and even in your Toastmasters club. So I don't know if you know, excuse me, sorry for that noise. Let me see if I can make this stop. Okay, very good. Sorry about that. Got a random phone call this morning. It looks like probably a marketing call. But anyway, do you know Jeremy French at all, Phyllis?
No, I do not. So it'll be great to hear someone new and see how they go about giving us information, what their technique is. Do they use humor in helping us to remember what they have to say? So it'll be nice to hear someone different.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard a lot of good things about Jeremy. As I say, I don't know him, but this group here, between Brandon and Steve and Jeremy and Adrienne, are our featured speakers and educational program for this year. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of information, but it doesn't end there. There's more. And yes, there's more. But wait. So after the keynote and what have you, we will then have the evaluation contest. I may have mentioned to you earlier, I think I forgot to mention to our audience, that we're doing a little bit differently. After the CNL recipient, it's my understanding that we will follow that with the international contest. So that'll be right around or just before lunch. And then at lunch, part of that will include a recognition of everyone who has achieved the Distinguished Toastmaster Award since we became District 115, because we haven't had a chance. We were talking earlier about the ceremony that used to occur in the district on Friday night before the conference. And you want to talk about that, Phyllis? That's a great ceremony to acknowledge new DTMs.
Absolutely. All the awards were given out that night, but also it was a time to visit with people that you don't get to see except at conferences. And as say, when we got kind of to the end, we would acknowledge all DTMs. So the DTMs that were in the room would stand up and make a big circle, and then they would announce each one of the new DTMs, and they would make their way around that circle and get a hug and a welcome to the DTM committee or joint office, whatever organization.
You know, I remember that night so vividly in my memory when I got my DTM and the ceremony. I was standing on the podium there, waiting. We were all lined up and getting ready to be introduced, and I was chatting with the lady standing next to me, and I said, I'm really a slow learner because it took me 7 years to get my DTM. And she said, oh, that's nothing. It took me 21 years. So I said, well, it's great that, Toastmasters is self-paced, it's self-directed, and gives you that kind of flexibility, because I know other people who have achieved DTM status in a couple of years. Of course, they were in 22 clubs at the time, so they could give all those speeches. But
it's always called a self-paced program.
Exactly.
You learn at your own pace. In my particular case, I just kept giving speeches and following through, and had no idea that I would ever reach Distinguished Toastmaster. So it happens just by plodding along, doing one step after another.
Yeah, and I wasn't, I remember thinking back when I joined Toastmasters in 2007, whether or not I really felt like this was something I was going to stay with. I know I enjoyed the meetings. I had a great time. I appreciated the challenges of going through all those workbooks. And I'm not sure at which point it was, but at some point I said, I'm going to get my DTM and whatever it takes to do that. So it was a terrific journey. And I'm glad that we are still going to keep the tradition of acknowledging and recognizing all the new DTMs. And we'll do that, I guess, during lunch or right after lunch in there. And then in the afternoon, there will be our evaluation contest. So it's going to be a little bit different than it was when we were part of District 33. And that's a good thing, because you may recall when we were part of District 33, we had 10 divisions. And oh my gosh, I remember we used to do the international contest or the major contest for the year in the evenings at dinner. We had a dinner, whereas now we're going to we'll have some breakfast and we'll have lunch, but later on we'll have a social, but it's not going to be a dinner, because we expect by 5:30 somewhere in there we'll wrap up the day and we'll have a social event that people can attend. But at those dinners, I remember you had 10 speakers. And boy, did those seem to go on and on and on. Now we have 4 divisions, much more manageable. And there is actually a provision in the guidelines that allow a division to sort of have split their contest in half, to have 5 and 5, and then the winners of those compete against each other, which is a little bit more manageable, but we never really did it that way. We always did we had the morning contest and then the evening contest. So that was always lots and lots of fun. So we'll have the oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I really believe that this will be a good thing, having the international in the morning, because after you've gotten up and started your Toastmaster day at 7, which means you're probably up at 5:30, so
which is my normal time.
Yeah. So then we would have dinner at say 6, and the contest would start at 7. You can't give your full attention to people after you've had such a long day. That's my feeling. So I'm kind of looking forward to being really fresh and be able to enjoy those international speeches.
Yeah, I think it's nice to sort of shake things up a little bit and do something a little bit less predictable. And that's as long as you're covering. And then, of course, after the evaluation contest, we will have our educationals, and then we will have an award ceremony. So we will learn at that time who the winners are. It's going to be a great, great event. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we will have a social hour or so, maybe longer. I think we have until 7 p.m. To wrap things up at that venue. But that'll be a really great opportunity for us to get to see each other again, to be back in person in a district-wide convention meeting. And I'm just really, really looking forward to it. What are any other final thoughts about the meeting coming up, Phyllis, or things you want to talk about the convention? Best memories of the convention?
Well, I really want to say that that's a big thank you for having that after the conference time to meet with friends and talk. I understand, according to the schedule I saw, they hope to be done by 4:30. And then at 4:30, you're released for the day, but you can stay and they will provide snacks. And then there's going to be a cash bar where you can sit and visit with your friends that you've not seen. And, I could probably count on one hand the amount of friends that I've actually saw long enough to talk to since we went into COVID. So I am just thrilled that we're going to get that extra time and that I don't have to take it out of our meeting time.
Yes.
when
Exactly.
things are happening. So that's great.
Awesome. Well, we're about out of time here. I want to thank you, Phyllis, for joining me in this discussion today. It's always great to talk about convention time of year. One of my favorite times, of course, my favorite time is contest season. I love contest season. I love the convention. So this is just a terrific time of year. I will mention that the business meeting for the district council, which is the district executive committee plus presidents and vice presidents of education for all of our clubs, that meeting will be held on Sunday via Zoom. So that's the meeting where we will vote on incoming officers and what have you. And if there's anybody out there who still is looking for an opportunity to move into district leadership, I think we do have some openings for area directors. So send me an email at d115cgd@gmail.com, and I will be happy to connect you with the leadership committee that is reviewing and interviewing applicants for district leadership positions. If you'd like to be on Wake Up with Toastmasters, you can send me an email at the same email address. Phyllis and I are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Wednesday, we have the lovely Jennifer Smith. She's our public relations manager. And then on Monday and Friday, our program quality director, who is the founder of Wake Up with Toastmasters, came out of her very creative mind, Jean Williams, and her partner in crime, Jean Dunford. So any information you need, shoot me an email. I'll be glad to get back with you and connect with you. We'll also note, many of you may have received the notice, or you saw it on Facebook, that you can also purchase a streaming package this year. We recognize that some folks are not going to be able to be there in person, but the streaming package is available for $25. If you didn't see that, then you can certainly shoot me an email and I'll make sure you get the link. It's a separate registration, but that will allow you to participate in the event, even though you may not be able to attend. So anything else we need to talk about here, Phyllis? I think we've covered about everything.
I would like to say that you do not have to be a Toastmaster to attend. So if you're listening to us on Facebook and think this is something you might like to do, contact Ken. He will set you up with a flyer that you can use to register. And also if you want to listen to us live at the conference. So, if you're not a Toastmaster, you still can participate.
I'm glad you brought that up because it absolutely is a great recruiting event. If you've never been to a Toastmasters event like this, you're going to get a little bit of everything. Some of the tradition, as we talked about, with the first timers and with the banner parade and the opening ceremonies, and some of the other things that are just downright fun. And that's the evaluation contest and the international contest. Plus you got educationals.
Yeah, fantastic speakers.
Yes, some really fantastic speakers. And it's just amazing what all has been packed into that time frame, from starting at 7 with first timers, 5 o'clock the social. Wow. I mean, there's just so much going on. Probably the best deal in town. So we're going to say goodbye to everyone this morning. Thank you for watching or for watching the recording later. We appreciate you joining us and hope to see you at the convention. We'll be back on Tuesday. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.
Have a great, great weekend.